What is up, everybody? Good morning and welcome back to the City Life Project YouTube channel for yet another picks, predictions, and preview video here covering UFC Fight Night, Kansas City, UFC Fight Night, Ian Garry versus Carlos Prates. Smoke him if you got him. Already like 3 in today, and I already feel like shit. The reason I didn't start 15 minutes earlier is because I was like, you know what? I might as well throw another one down. So here we go. Here are my notes. Let's get into the prediction here. As always, comment. As always, like. I'll get timestamps on this before UFC, like right after this. We got KSW in a few hours. So it's going to be a great day. So I wanted to get this picks, preview, prediction stream up well in advance. Then we can chill a little bit, jump on for KSW at lunch, and then continue on for UFC and Deep. I will get the Deep stream up a little bit later. Anyways, let's start with the first one. Chelsea Chandler, the track star, up against Jocelyn Edwards. I'm going to go Jocelyn Edwards on this one. And people who have been subscribed to the channel for a long time may be like, yo, Isha, what the fuck? I'm not a Jocelyn Edwards fan. I think she's a decent striker. I think her takedown defense is getting better. And you know what? At 29 years of age, there's still a little bit more room for development, and there has been some development. So, you know, maybe I'll eat crow moving forward. Haven't been super impressed with Jocelyn Edwards, despite her decent success in the UFC thus far. She's the big favorite in this one. She's a way better striker than Chelsea Chandler. And if she can defend the takedowns or can get back up to her feet up against the cage, Chelsea Chandler has no shot on the feet against Jocelyn Edwards. Chelsea Chandler's only path to victory is taking her down, controlling her, landing some muffin shot ground and pound. All right. Maybe some elbows. She's 6-3 as a pro, 3-2 in her last 5. Lost her last fight against Yana Santos. And I just think Jocelyn Edwards is going to do what Yana Santos did there to her. Jocelyn Edwards went against Vidal, lost. See this, like Eileen Perez took her down, sat on her. Nora took her down, sat on her. You know what I mean? Split decision against Pudilova, which you know. So that's the thing. Just Jocelyn Edwards, based on the striking, I'm gonna trust that she can get back up to her feet enough. I'm going to trust that she can defend enough takedowns to keep this on the feet. Yo, what's up, Roid Rage? Good to see you. Oh, shit. My alarm's going off. One sec. If you're not up yet, get the fuck up, Isha alarm. All right. He's up early like me. He ain't drinking already like me, but I'm a few ciggies in for protest. We don't feel too good, boys. The only tobacco I smoke is like some stogies in the summer every now and then, and like hookah every now and then. So, and now a fucking 24 hours pack of ciggies, baby. Yo, what's up, Baby Sharp? Good to see you. All right. Jocelyn Edwards, because Chelsea Chandler's a track star and a wrestler. Not as good of a striker. All right. Timmy Kwamba. Timmy. God, I need that soundbite. Against Roberto Romero, especially if he wins. This one's close, and I think the odds are fair on this one. Roberto Romero, 8-4-1 as a pro, 3-2 in his last 5. He did lose his last fight against David Onama, but he took that fight on short notice, and that was his entry into the UFC. And honestly, on short notice, he looked pretty good. He's tough. He's got that Mexican chin. Onama wasn't able to land many, like, just sniper clean shots on him, but did hurt him at points and in that fight, and I thought it was a really good performance for your debut on short notice against a dangerous fighter like Onama. 3 KO TKOs, 2 submissions, 3 decisions, 6-1-1. He ripped up Combate Global, and he's got some decent wins on his resume. Again, not the longest career thus far, but you know, when he had around 5-6 fights under his belt, he started to take steps up in competition. No, not just 1-1 guys. You know, okay, guys with the same amount of fights as him. Took on a 10-2 guy in Combate Global. Fought an experienced guy in Nishida before coming over to the UFC and actually looking pretty good. So his career is still young, much like Timmy Kwambos, who, as of late, a little bit of a downward trajectory. I mean, coming off 2 losses, but he's still super young. Both these guys are super young. Timmy is 26 years of age. Romero is 25. 4 KO TKOs, 0 submissions, 4 decisions. He's 0-2 in the UFC coming off his Contender Series win. Now, Lucas Almeida and Balaji Oki, who he did take to a split decision, by the way, because I think a lot of people were a lot higher on Oki. If I'm not mistaken, he won his Contender Series fight handedly, then lost his debut in the UFC. I think that's how it went. No, okay, beat Kwamba, split decision, right, and it wasn't an exciting fight, then lost to Chris Duncan. Yeah, got finished in his last fight. That's what it was. But anyways, so maybe that was less of Kwamba being actually that good and maybe Oki being not as good. Went to a decision against Lucas Almeida. Lucas Almeida he's a good fighter. So like I said, I just really like this matchup. I'm giving the slight edge to Romero here. I think Kwamba's a little bit more technical, but lacks a little bit of that killer instinct and toughness that Romero has. I think both are like pretty well-rounded. I just think Romero can take damage a little bit better and continue to walk forward and pressure. And that's another thing. Romero loves to pressure his opponents. He loves to walk forward, loves to bring the fight to you. And Kwamba, despite having actually technical boxing, and like I said, being more, I think, overall the technical striker, he's not as much of a brawler as Romero. Unless Kwamba can kind of set up where he needs the fight to be and, I don't know, get momentum in the pocket, I think Romero will just walk him down and continue to pressure him. And even if he takes some big shots off some counter strikes from Kwamba, I think Romero will get the better of him. So I got Romero probably by decision. All right, next we have the former LFA champ, Jacqueline Amorim, taking on Poliana Viana. I mean, much like everybody else here, I have Amorim. She just like hasn't had an issue taking these girls down yet. She hasn't had an issue taking these girls down. She'll eat a punch to get the takedown, and then it's like a quick finish. Minus 850 right now against someone as experienced as Poliana Viana, who has some grappling. I mean, I guess Poliana Viana is well-rounded despite her striking being her best tool. She's 32 years of age up against a 29-year-old Amorim who's on a 3-fight tear in the UFC upon losing her debut to freaking Sam Hughes. Upon yet again fighting a title fight in LFA and winning. She comes back with a knockout, which was insane, or TKO. Beats Corey McKenna and Vanessa Diamopoulos. Again, both, these two fighters, a little bit of helium upon entering the UFC, then kind of fizzled out. Like literally, Corey McKenna is she was supposed to fight in GFL, I think. So I don't know where she's gonna land. Probably PFL. Vanessa Diamopoulos, she's not that great, but still, Amorim was able to, with relative ease, tear through all 3 of those UFC opponents. Her jiu-jitsu is sick, and clearly she has some striking. I don't think she's going to strike with Poliana. I think she's going to take her to the ground. I think she's going to submit her, much like Jillian Robertson did. Well, I mean, I guess Jillian Robertson TKO'd her, got in the top position. But still, I think Amorim will go for the armbar instead of go for the ground and pound. Lucinda got her in the arm triangle choke. She beat Jinyu Frey. I mean, big whoop. Big whoop. So yeah, Amorim. Do I have any other notes on this? Always gets the takedown. Yeah, Poliana's the better striker, a little bit more experienced, but yeah, she's not going to not get submitted at one point in this fight, whether it's first round, second round, or third. Another sick matchup on this card. I was saying the Romero matchup against Kwamba was sick. This is another sick matchup on the card. What's up, Thal? Good to see you. Good to see you. So very solid for finally KSW day again, you mean, Thal. Honestly, I know this is a UFC stream, but who gives a fuck about the UFC when Pujanowski's fighting Eddie Hall today? That's all I'm saying. No, UFC is back. And it's great that like the whole day is filled, honestly, with excess. Like I'm going to have to catch up on stuff on Monday. I don't even think I'll have time to catch up on stuff tomorrow, but like Octagon's today, BKFC's today, KSW, which we're going to be covering. And I know I'm missing something else. The boxing as well. But I will say, for a fight night card, we're turning off a week off. This is a very good fight night card. I'm glad it's on the road and not at the Apex. Good to see everybody in the live chat, by the way. Good to see you all. All right, we have the return of Cameron Saaiman against Malcolm Wellmaker. Now, Wellmaker, dangerous fighter. Honestly, similar matchup to that of the Peyton Talbot fight against Cameron Saaiman. The undefeated machine, Malcolm Wellmaker, is 8-0 as a pro. He is undefeated. He's the slight favorite coming into this one, making his UFC debut after Contender Series win. 4 KO, TKO, 2 submissions, 2 decisions. Was fighting in not the best regional shows, I'll say that. His last win before Contender Series was against a 5-2 guy, so respect there. He won the Conflict MMA belt, beating a 11-7 guy. Still relatively new to the sport, so like I'm not gonna like be too critical of it. I would have liked to see him take a step up in competition around here, but hey, he did in his 6th fight against a guy with 18 fights and a 5-2 guy. So he's in that. Well, he did prove himself when he did level up and challenge himself against better guys. As an amateur, he ripped it up, going 9-1, only losing to this guy via armbar, who's only 1-0 as a pro. But that is telling, because Malcolm Wellmaker, though that was a long time ago, is very much more of a striker. I haven't seen like the offensive jiu-jitsu, the offensive wrestling as much as I'm going to keep this on the feet and beat you that way. If he does get in the dominant positions, like his wrestling is not bad, but definitely more of a striker as his base, a striker as his tools in which got him here, right? Cameron Saaiman is a lot more well-rounded. Is Cameron Saaiman as dangerous in the striking department as Malcolm Wellmaker? Absolutely not. Can he strike? Can he box? Absolutely. He's a better grappler. He's a better wrestler than Wellmaker. Cameron Saaiman's base was grappling before moving up the ranks in mixed martial arts and before coming into the UFC. Still really young as well, with all the experience he has had and in a really good gym. He's 9-2 as a pro. His last 2 losses, got brutally knocked out by Peyton Talbot a year ago. So hopefully recovered since then. And then before then lost to Christian Rodriguez, the prospect killer who out-grappled the grappler. I would think Christian Rodriguez would beat Wellmaker if he still won 35. And I'm going with the underdog on this one. I'm going to go with Cameron Saaiman. Could he get knocked out? Could he get beaten up if he's losing in the striking just head-to-head, which I think overall, if this was just a straight-up Muay Thai fight or kickboxing fight, he would lose to Wellmaker there. Probably would take too much damage or get knocked out. So in that case, if he can't employ some grappling into his game, he'll probably lose the fight. But I think he's well-rounded enough to check more boxes and still fight, and not just like not be able to land one single punch against Wellmaker. I don't think Wellmaker's going to do enough damage unless he finishes Cameron Saaiman to win the fight in the one facet. Again, assuming Cameron Saaiman can employ other factors, wrestling, grappling, maybe go for a submission attempt or 2. What's up, Cody? Good to see you. Hell yeah, the wild play today, 3:00. I won't be covering that game, but it will be live on the Soda Pod. One of the co-hosts on the channel is going to be covering it. Eddie Hall gets poozed into the canvas. I hope so, Thal. I hope so. I'm a little nervous for Poods just because he's older, but like experience-wise, he's been doing MMA for the last 15 years, right? 10, 15 years. All right. Let's get to the next one. Damon Blackshear against Alatengheili. Alatengheili, the Mongolian Knight. 17-9-2, 3-1-1. Respectable 3-1-1 in his last 5 fights, 33 years of age. Trains out of Arizona. He's one of the guys at Fight Ready. Up against Damon Blackshear, 16-7-1, also 3. Well, he's 3-2. Also has 3 wins in his last 5 fights, but 3-2 in his last 5. He's the heavy favorite in this one. The Mongolian Knight, ladies and gentlemen. 5 KO TKOs, 3 submissions, 9 decisions, 5-2-1 in the UFC. Also fought once in one championship. Good win against Clayton Rodriguez in his last fight. Lost to Chris Gutierrez before that. A couple wins and a draw before that. Lost to Casey Kenny. Casey Kenny was actually a good fighter, but he's a piece of shit. And he came over from Road FC, which, you know what? I like that because he got a ton of fights in Wulin, Fang, and Kunlun, as a lot of the Chinese fighters do. Like, you can get like fucking 3 fights a month in Kunlun and Wulin, Fang, going back and forth pretty much. And now with JCK, you can get a lot of fights against cans and good fighters on the regional scene in China. It's an interesting way to develop out there, which funny enough, they are producing better fighters more consistently. Might have something. Then the Japanese and Koreans kind of in the middle there. So maybe they are doing something right. Regardless, after that, I do think Road FC is a better league than Wulin Fang and Kunlun. So he went there and actually did really well. Again, mind you, not against the best competition until his kind of final fights at Road, and then came into the UFC and did pretty good. Like, he's never going to be ranked, but he'll kind of pick apart and put on good fights against the lower end of the division. Damon Blackshear is not that. He is very good. 30 years of age. I think just entering his prime. Only 2 KO TKOs, but 11 submissions. His wrestling is insane. He's stupid big for the division, and he's insanely strong, and he's got nasty submissions. I mean, he had a twister last year, then fought a week later, lost. But still, 3 decisions, 4-3-1 in the UFC, 1-0 in Bellator. Yeah, great win against Cody Gibson. Great win against Cody Stamen. Lost to Montel Jackson, Mario Bautista. The Montel Jackson one, I did not expect him to be just knocked out that quickly. 18 seconds for Montel Jackson. I think that one kind of, I mean, Montel Jackson is good, and like no one's doubting Montel Jackson at all. But I don't think anyone thought it would be done that quick, is what I'm saying. But yeah, got the twister against Jose Johnson, comes back and loses Mario Bautista, but goes the distance against Mario Bautista 1 week after that fight night. He was the Cage Free UFC champion, which he defended that title. He fought Danny Sabatel on the regional scene back in the day, 2021, where he lost to him in Titan FC. And same with Pat Sabatini, Cage Free UFC. Before then, he's fought Chris Moutinho. Tough to beat Chris Moutinho. He's fought in a lot of really good regional MMA promotions while he was developing as well. And he kind of went everywhere and won belts or fought in titles everywhere as well, even on the amateur scene. So he won his first title against a 4-1 guy in Conflict MMA. Went to C, which I think CES sucks, but still it's like it's somewhat notable. Bellator, Cage Free UFC, UFC. Loved his development. Like I said, I think he's entered his prime, and he should be able to submit the Mongolian Knight. All right, Chris Gutierrez against John Castañeda, Minnesota represent, ladies and gentlemen. John Castañeda here to get revenge for his teammate and training partner getting beat in his last one, because Chris Gutierrez's last win was against John Castañeda's training partner and another Minnesota fighter, Quan Lee. And again, I was surprised Quan Lee didn't bounce back. Well, had a good first round against his opponent, which he fought after Chris Gutierrez, and then just kind of fumbled the bag after that. But anyways, I'm a fan of Quan Lee. I know Quan Lee. I've met Quan Lee. I don't want to think about that. But John Castañeda is here to get that win back for the boys. 21-7 for John Castañeda, 3-2 in his last 5 fights, 33 years of age. Out of the academy in Minneapolis, Minnesota. 7 KO TKOs, 7 submissions, 7 decisions. As well-rounded as you can be. However, his style, first and foremost, is boxing. He'll walk forward. He'll throw hooks. He'll throw jabs. And he has no issue fighting in the pocket and mixing it up combos-wise with the body shots and things like that. He's got decent leg kicks, but he's going up against a freaking Factory X guy in Gutierrez, right? So he doesn't got the leg kicks against Gutierrez, because Gutierrez can literally chop trees down with his kicks. They're so freaking nasty. Borgard is a very good stand-up fighter whose wrestling is sound, likes to keep the fight on the feet and just press you. And at times he'll go for takedowns, and whether he gets them or not, it's just like he'll overwhelm you with strikes, go over the takedown, sometimes even just like step back himself, repeat. So he's one of those fighters where it's like he won't give you a lot of room to work, and his cardio is pretty good. But if you do want to take advantage of him slowing down, it's going to take a while in the fight. Again, nothing special. Like if he gets ranked, sweet. He's one of those guys in the UFC who will beat up the lower rankings. Probably can't stay at the top of the division, although he is a fun fighter to watch. I mean, his record kind of reflects that as well. You know, wins against Miles John, Gaffarov, lost to Daniel Santos, Daniel Marcos, beating older Eddie Weinland, but couldn't get past Nathaniel Wood, right? Like this is pretty evident and telling of the type of fighter that John Castañeda is. He's had a lot of fights in the UFC, though. and always puts on, for the most part, fun ones. Chris Gutierrez, he has to be kind of dragged into a fun fight. If he's dictating the fight, he's just gonna be kicking you on the outside, jab, like. And he's got power and he is dangerous, but like if he's going up against a tough guy who can't get finished like that, he's gonna win the fight out pointing you. Which, hey, I guess better than just laying on your opponent. But he has to be dragged into a brawl, is what I'm saying, because he's a very technical striker. 9 KO TKOs, though. Like I said, he's still dangerous. 1 submission, good takedown defense. Not a fish out of the water on the ground, but like this is a great matchup because this is gonna stay standing, I imagine, for the most part, other than like Castañeda going for his patented few takedowns in the fight to mix things up. He's like the opposite of Hernandez, where at lightweight, where Hernandez like is a wrestler, but like has to mix in some striking as well. Whereas Castañeda is a striker, but like has to mix in some wrestling. 9-3-1 in the UFC, 1-1 in World Series of Fighting, 2-0 in LFA, 1-0 in Bellator. Been around a while, Chris Gutierrez. Each of them, 33, 34 years of age. Has had a lot of canceled fights in 2024. Javid Basharat, John Matsumoto, and John Castañeda just a month ago. Lost to Song Yadong, but went the distance with him. Quan Lee, lost to Pedro Munoz. Yeah, he's... Now that I've always rated Chris Gutierrez high. I always rate him higher maybe than he is, just because of how like sound he looks in the cage, but like he hasn't taken down too many killers either. Like if he would have beat Song Yadong, then we're talking. So you know what? This is actually a really good matchup. And I'm excited for this one. What's up, Mysak? What's up, Janjiroba's dad? What's up, Volcan? All right, let's get to the next one. Evan Elder against Gage Young. Evan Elder obviously had another fight, but fuck Hassanzada. I didn't even think he was that good and deserved to be in the UFC anyways, and obviously he doesn't deserve to be in the UFC now. Yeah, fuck that guy. Gage, stepping up though, Gage Young, G Money, 9-2 as a pro, 24 years of age. He's obviously the underdog coming into this one, but I thought the lines would be a little bit bigger. Now, that's not to say that I'm like super high on Evan Elder, but still. G Money, mostly a wrestler, 9-2 as a pro, lost his Contender Series fight to Quinlan Salkeld, and then went back to FAC and got a win. I didn't even rate FAC. Like, I think CES is better than FAC. I didn't think FAC was that great when Kraus was helping to run it, and I certainly don't think that they're that great now, but it is a reach. It's kind of like lights out, I guess. 6 KO TKO at that level. Like, honestly, I think the UFL is better than this league right now, and the UFL is still relatively new. 9-1 in FAC. Because FAC used to be just like the James Krause factory, kind of like what A1 Combat is for Faber's guys. Anthony Pettis FC for the Rufus boys. Except those are just better promotions overall. 13-8. Why beating up friggin' an out of shape podcaster and comedian? Yeah, a lot of fights, but hasn't fought the greatest guys. But his wrestling and his ground and pound has been able to get him to where he's at, and it's a pretty sound base, especially still developing at only 24 years of age. Like, he's got time to develop his striking, and when wrestlers do, they're dangerous. Evan Elder, 9-2 as a pro, 3-2 in his last 5 on a 2-fight win streak against Darius Flowers and Gennaro Valdez. Valdez was a pretty good win, but and Flowers is getting up there. So out of a good gym, 4 KO TKOs, 2 submissions, 3 decisions, 2-2 in the UFC, 1-0 in LFA. Eventually got the arm triangle choke. You know, it actually was a pretty fun performance now that I think back on it. Same with the Valdez fight. That wasn't that bad of a fight either. Lost to Preston Parsons and Sadikov. Both guys who are pretty good. I mean, and Parsons is mad, but like Sadikov is okay. Another guy funny enough to come out of FAC. This is what I'm saying about FAC, bro. Shamrock FC, which, by the way, I got nothing against Shamrock FC. 331 shows is incredible. Fought in LFA as well as he was developing. And as an amateur, went 6-1. So I am going Evan Elder in this one. He had a full camp. He's the better striker. He does have a kickboxing background. Again, Stylistically, the wrestler in Gage Young could take him down, lay on him, ground and pound him. I think maybe in the first round, Gage Young has to really, really try to do this because I don't know if he was in camp or not. Clearly, like in shape enough to come into this one, make weight and all. But I feel like if this goes past the first round, Evan Elder will be able to stuff more takedowns, will be able to keep this on the feet. And it's not like Evan Elder doesn't have a ground game at all. Just Gage Young is a very strong wrestler. So I think Evan Elder will get this done either by damage winning, all 3 rounds around 2 and 3, or maybe even finishes Gage Young when he starts to get tired. But fuck Hazanzada, ladies and gentlemen. 30-27 tied tonight. One of the coaches at the gym, what's up, Blake? I used to train at is fighting Sebastian in 1. Dude, no way. Sean Strickland win tonight. Well, he's not in the UFC anymore. So good. Yo, what's up, Cowboy City Life Project? Do you like Movsar Evloev? I think he's the next champion that will be dominant. I think he's fine. He's just too one-sided like Aljamain. He's basically the next... Well, he's like Aljamain Sterling. And their fight was awesome. Different styles of wrestling for sure, but that was such a great fight. The scrambles were amazing. But I don't think he's well-rounded enough to be a dominant champion. I don't. I think he's good. I think he's elite in his grappling, and it's been able to negate even some strikers out there. But I don't think he'll be like a long-reigning dominant champion. I think he's good, though. I think he's top tier for sure, but definitely not as high on him as everybody, as a lot of other people, because he's just not as well-rounded as some of these other guys who have that style but can actually strike and employ other things as well. And I'm not to say that it's not there. Like, he's well-rounded enough to be at the top of the division, and he should be getting the title shot, but yeah. Do a bonus breakdown of Poirier versus Max after Ian Gary. Oh, Max knocks him out probably first or second round. Easy. Fuck, man, I need a haircut. This thing's fucking bothering me. Anyways. Let's get to the next one. Matt Schnell versus Jimmy Flick, ladies and gentlemen. Matt Schnell coming out of retirement, ladies and gentlemen. Coming out of retirement to fight Jimmy the Brick Flick. This is honestly a good matchup for both of them. Jimmy Flick hasn't had an easy road. Matt Schnell, I will highlight, has only really fought killers and really good fighters throughout his entire UFC run. So, like, no wonder his chin is a little cooked, okay? And he was winning the Cody Durden fight. He was winning the Cody Durden fight before Durden rocked him and got the ninja choke. Oh, no, wait. Schnell dove into the ninja choke after eating 1 or 2 shots, if I'm not mistaken. But anyways, I know didn't he drop Durden early in the fight as well? He's super talented. He has power. He's got good jiu-jitsu. Like, and again, 35 years of age. Like, it's about that time, right? It's about that time. I've always enjoyed watching Matt Schnell. He's an Ultimate Fighter alumni. He's been in the UFC for a long time. He was in one of my favorite, his last win was one of my favorite UFC fights, I think, of all time. Like, it's in my top 5 against Sumida Derji, who just came off a win himself. Stylistically, I don't even want to say this is striker versus grappler. Jimmy Flick is a grappler, and that's it. There's not really anything else to his game, despite having so many fights under his belt. Whereas Matt Schnell is very well-rounded and also a dangerous striker. Jimmy Flick, 15 submissions, 0 KO TKOs, 2 decisions. What I say. He's got that flying armbar, which was unbelievable. But when the fuck flying triangle choke. Demetrius was the flying armbar. Back in 2020, that was 5 years ago. 1-0 in Bellator, 3-0 in LFA, 2-3 in the UFC. And yeah, man, the Nate Maness fight. Nate Maness dominated him there. Malcolm Gordon. He did get a win against Malcolm Gordon. Alessandro Costa, beat him up. Charles Johnson beat him up. And I think Matt Schnell is going to beat him up as well, bro. Like, Jimmy Flick ain't going to knock out Matt Schnell unless it's from an up kick, okay? Unless it's from an up kick. 16-9 as a pro. 2 KO TKOs, 9 submissions, 4 decisions. Is he from like Kansas City area? He's from Louisiana. He's been fighting so long. He fought when LFA was legacy. 6-7-1 in the UFC. Let's just take a look at all the guys he's fought throughout his. He fought Jonathan Martinez in legacy. He lost to illegal knee. Okay, that's where it started. Was the champ there? Yeah, came to the Ultimate Fighter. So fought Tim Elliott on the Ultimate Fighter. Fought Rob Font. Fought Hector Sandoval, who actually Hector Sandoval was pretty damn good, man. 15-4. Is he still fighting? No, he's not fighting anymore, but he was actually a really good fighter. Beat some really good guys. 9-0, 15-5, 14-5, 14-5. Lost to Pantoja. No shame in that. Beat Tyson Nam. Tyson Nam is good. Lost to Royval. Beat Sunaderji. Nicolas is good. Urseg's good. Durden, he was winning that fight, but now his chin's like, you know what I mean? Like, anyways, I got Matt Schnell winning this one. Jimmy Flick's not going to knock him out. I don't know why I'm spending so much time on this. Ikram Aliskerov against André Muniz. Every time I see André Muniz weigh in, I say the same thing. Holy fuck, he's huge. He's so much bigger than I always expect because, you know, I just expect like a lanky ass jiu-jitsu guy. But nah, dude. André Muniz, fucking yoked jiu-jitsu guy at 185. Aliskerov, 15-2 as a pro. Dangerous guy coming into the UFC. They were stoked that they signed him. He did pretty well in his first few fights, obviously through Contender Series. Beat Phil Hawes. Phil Hawes might be more chinny than Matt Schnell, though. You know, I would think Phil Hawes. Actually, I would think that Aliskerov has a harder time knocking out Matt Schnell than Phil Hawes. But anyways, Warley Alves was a really good win, despite Alves getting up there in age. And then I don't think anyone expected him to go down that easily to Robert Whittaker. But anyways, shout out to Robert Whittaker. He's not going up against a pure striker or a well-rounded former champ in Whittaker in this one. He's going up against a jiu-jitsu guy. André Muniz doesn't have the best striking. Does he have a jab kind of on the outside? Sure. Has he fought enough where like his striking is good, not great? Absolutely. But against someone as dangerous as Aliskerov, who is a very good striker and a nasty wrestler, but very much depends on the striking. I shouldn't say depend, very much leans on the striking because that's what gets him here, or that's what got him here. André Muniz, same sort of narrative, but on the jiu-jitsu side. A lot of experience, 24-6, 35 years of age. Shout out to our boy JL, one of his boys. 3-2 in his last 5 fights, coming off a really good win. Well, actually, no, it wasn't a really good win. It was a good back and forth close fight against Jung Young Park. My boy, the Iron Turtle. I actually thought the Iron Turtle won that one, but I could be biased because I'm going to say that the Iron Turtle wins every split decision. What I'm trying to say is the Iron Turtle's never going to be ranked. As much as we love the Iron Turtle, he's never going to be a ranked fighter. He's one of the hardest fighters to beat outside of the rankings, I would say. And Muniz didn't look dominant against him at all. So because of that, I don't think he's going to look dominant against the top of the division anymore, or guys who are making a case to belong in the top of the division, much like Aliskerov. He's a pretty big underdog here, and probably one of the best underdogs if you do want to bet on maybe him to win by submission or whatever. But again, Aliskerov probably is going to hurt him. 15 submissions, 4 KO TKOs. He's lost 5 times via knockout, bro. That's the thing. 5 decisions. 6-2 in the UFC. 2-0 on Contender Series. That's right. He had 2 times on Contender Series. Paul Craig knocked him down. Paul Craig, didn't he catch a leg kick and boom? He has some good wins in the UFC. He went on a crazy win streak as well. World Series of WOCS and then Dana White's Contender Series. He's one of the early Dana White Contender Series guys. But Aliskerov, I think, is going to get it done. 6 KO TKOs, 5 submissions, 3 decisions. His 2 losses have come via KO TKO, but again, Muniz ain't going to knock him out. Chimaev and Robert Whittaker. Not bad losses to have on your resume. Going with Aliskerov in this one. More well-rounded. Danger striker, stand up on the feet. I write my notes. Underdog, meh, for André Muniz. All right, let's get back to your guys' comments here before we get to Randy Brown versus the degenerate Dane himself. Sorry, the Danish Dynamite himself, Nicolas Dalby. Yo, what's up? Exploring the car. Good to see you. Feel like a Paul Craig ass whooping as a rite of passage in the UFC. At the weigh-ins, we say Muniz looks good. At the fight, we say Muniz looks bad. Right? Death sentence is like if Tim Robinson was into anime and fighting. Imagine Death sentence taking over UFC after 4 months of training. Man, if there was a spot where a vet beats a prospect, it's Smith and Zhang. I think it's more this fight. Not to say that Randy Brown's a prospect, because he's not. But if we're going kind of a guy on the rise, finally getting into his groove in the UFC, even though coming off a loss, but still, against a guy, I think it's this fight. I think the only way Smith beats Zhang is if Zhang decides to wrestle, or if like Zhang cannot defend a takedown at all. I think he's too strong to allow Anthony Smith to take him down. So it'd have to be him putting himself in a guillotine again, in my opinion. Having said that, you're not wrong with this comment. I think this is the better one if we're gonna, but maybe not, because Randy Brown's not a prospect, but you know what I mean. Yo, what's up, SEO? Good to see you. Hope you're doing okay. Why have you been AWOL? What's been taking up your time, my man? Good to see you as always, sir. Thanks for dropping by. Yes, he is. The fight against Sumidajerji, definitely best second round. Hey, let's go. Well, I hope you have a great podcast, guys. Go check out Exploring the Car. He not only like just has his own channel, his own show, but he also does some fight interviews every now and then. He's a former Muay Thai fighter, which we're going to bring on our show soon. I know I've been saying that for a year, but I'm finally getting dates together and getting questions together for all my guests and bank and stuff. I have 5 interviews next week alone that we're banking, and I'm going to probably put out the first one on Tuesday or Wednesday. So stay tuned. People forget, man, Muniz was taught to be the dark horse of the middleweight at one, or was thought to be the dark horse of the middleweight at one time. I think it's actually not that bad, Kenny. You moved home. Wow. Moving is always stressful, so glad you can kick back, relax, hang out with us here and watch some UFC and maybe some KSW today. And we are going balls deep and deep later. Thoughts on Smith? We're getting there. We're at Dalby and Randy Brown right now. Why are we talking about Smith when we're not even there yet, guys? Randy Brown against Nicolas Dalby. 23-5-1 as a pro. We're almost at Smith. We got a few more left, guys. 23-5-1, 4-1 in his last 5 fights. His only loss was a very close split decision to Rinat Fakhretdinov. A decision where Fakhretdinov got gifted another win. I swear to fucking God. I liked Rinat coming into the UFC. I really did. But what the fuck, judges? What the fuck, bro? He has been... like, I don't fucking think he won the Leal fight either. I think unanimous decision was a fucking slap in the face to the fans and Carlos Leal. But anyways, I think Nicolas Dalby won this fight. And against a younger and dangerous guy like Fakhretdinov, that is huge. Look, the decline could come at any day, but I haven't seen like Dalby's cardio deteriorate at all. I haven't seen his power go. I haven't seen his speed go. I haven't seen his time. I haven't seen anything fade where if I didn't know anything about the UFC, and for the last 2 years, you showed me Nicolas Dalby fights, I would have thought he was like early 30s, right? He's in the second most bloody fight of all time behind that Luke's fight with Calvao in Cage Wars as well. So bloody they had to stop it, which again, pussies, because Luke's kept the fight going. They didn't care if they were slipping and sliding each other's blood. They didn't give a fuck. They kept that fight going 5 rounds, but I digress. 7 KO TKOs, 4 submissions, 12 decisions. 5-1-1 in Cage Warriors, 6-0 in Fighter Gala, and a respectable 7-4-1-1 in the UFC. He beat Gabriel Bonfim. He's still beating young guys. He's still beating prospects. I mean, Muslim Salikov's not a prospect, but he beat Muslim Salikov in a good matchup. He beat Warley Alves. Split decision, but still. He beat Claudio Silva. Like, look at the guys he's beating. Lost to the Dirty Bird, but honestly, Tim Means in 2021 was still fucking guys up. That's a stretch, but shout out to the Dirty Bird. Man, I think Nicolas Dalby wins this fight. Oh, but what about the range? What about the height? Dude, Randy Brown has that over every single one of his opponents in this division. Okay? They're gonna prepare for it. They're gonna prepare for it. Some guys can't handle it. I will say that. I think Nicolas Dalby been there, done that, both in his striking career before entering MMA and his MMA career. Do I think Randy Brown's a good fighter? Yes. Do I think Randy Brown's ever gonna make noise in the top 15? No. I don't. Brian Battle didn't put on a good performance, but he out-grappled, out-hugged Randy Brown up against the cage for the victory. Great win against Zaleski. Nicolas Dalby, still more in his prime than Zaleski, who is, on his decline, right? But a good win nonetheless. Muslim Salikov, he knocked out, which I didn't think he'd knock out Salikov. I don't think he's going to knock out Dalby. Turman, he got the win, was dominant in that one. I don't think Wellington Turman's that great. Lost to Jack Della Maddalena, and though I don't think Dalby's going to be as dominant, and that is, just knock out Randy Brown as he's on the back foot, doing his best Chelsea Chandler impression, I think he'll be more... I think he'll look more like Jack Della Maddalena than than Zaleski, for example. So... I have Dalby winning this one. I don't think Rude Boy is going to knock him out unless he can land one of those straight shots with pinpoint accuracy, because I think Dalby is going to be the one bringing the fight to him. And though Rude Boy's got some nasty counters, he's actually surprisingly good pressuring fighters employing his boxing. Obviously, the range is an issue, but I got fucking the Danish Dynamite, ladies and gentlemen. Let's freaking go. Come on, Rude boy. Who's singing, the Rihanna or Beyonce? Michel Pereira against Abus Magomedov. Shit, man. You throw freaking Dolidze and Imavov into the mix here. I know, different weight class. It could just, you wouldn't even have to have a fight and it'd be entertaining. You could just bet on who gasses first, right? Because I would say all four of those guys have like some of the worst gas tanks in the UFC. Michel Pereira has always one absolute fireworks exciting round in him, and then he gasses and will either put himself in a position to lose the fight or just flat out lose the fight, or illegally knee Diego Sanchez in the head. Abus Magomedov's cardio's getting better, and he is dangerous, but he looks good early and fades as well, even in some of his wins. 27-6-1 for Abus. Great win against Bruno Ferreira. Great win against Wale Alvarez. I gotta stop saying great win against Wale Alvarez, because everyone's beaten Wale Alvarez. Lost against Bahayo quite dominantly. Lost against Sean Strickland. He looked good in the first round against Sean and then faded quickly. Michel Pereira was on a run before getting absolutely murked by Hernandez. And again, looked good in the first round, and then started to slow down a little bit. Anthony Hernandez, tough, able to grind out victories like this, and was able to knock out TKO Michel Pereira. I think the odds are fair in this one. I think Michel Pereira is a little bit more dangerous. I think Abus Magomedov is a little bit more well-rounded. Both of them have had really fun careers, though, and have had fun paths to the UFC. 14 KO TKO, 7 submissions, 6 decisions, 3-2 in the UFC, 3-1-1 in PFL, 1-0 in KSW. So a cool path to the UFC. Fought in some interesting regional scenes like Superior FC as well on the rise. GMC has some titles in some other organizations as well. And Michel Pereira, funny enough, went and fought in Road FC in Korea. 11 KO TKOs, 8 submissions, 11 decisions, 2 KO TKO losses, 1 submission, 7 decision losses. He's got that disqualification to Diego Sanchez. 9-3 in the UFC, 2-1 in XFC, 3-0 in Road FC, and 2-1 in Serbian Battle Championship. And yeah, was on a really good run. Again, not taking out the best guys. Really good win. Petrosky, I don't rate Petrosky super high, but fine. Iho Prateria, good riddance. He's gone from the UFC. Ponzinibbio was this was actually a really fucking good fight. I don't know if you guys remember this fight in 2022. Really, really good fight. Ponzinibbio was, I still think Ponzinibbio was good, but he was way more, he was still, I don't even want to say he was still in his prime, we'll say at that point, for lack of a better term. And Andre Fialho, before his chin was gone as well. So like these two were really, really good fights. Nico Price was still good, was able to beat him, beat Williams. So yeah, some really good wins in his UFC career. Oh, this one's a tough one, ladies and gentlemen. This was the tough one. Who's going to gas first? That is the question. Michel Pereira is probably going to gas first, but I'm still picking him. Abus is a great underdog. Good striker, good grappler, crazy style, hard to prepare for, dangerous. And I think Michel Pereira, and this is the key to victory, he's way faster. He's way faster. They both have power. But if this does get past the first round, if this does get past the second round, Abus Magomedov could take over. And he does have finishing ability in his own right. All right, we got 3 more to dive into here. Kenny Smith getting KO'd, but let's not jump the gun. They want more Renat, like people on top of the division. I mean, I like Renat. Like Renat's good. But I mean, the fights were good, but he just didn't win. Yo, what's up, Togofel? Good to see you. He takes damage so poorly now. Dalby and Giga are on the old side. So is Dalby, but Dalby is Marauder. Imavov would smash. One of my favorite fighters is Michel Pereira. Abus' biggest claim to fame is giving Strickland a title shot. Abus showed up on the scale with a black eye and a broken nose. Yo, what's up, MJ World? Good to see you. Do you think the stuff going on outside the octagon would influence performance of Pereira? I don't think so. Because he's got one good round in him regardless. But you know what? We had a 14 fight card last time and it was 3.5 hours. This 14 fight card is going to be 6.5. Yes, he missed weight by 2 pounds. Oh yeah, 1 pound, 1 pound. He came in at 1 pound of 147. Yeah, 147. Giga Chikadze against David Onama. Giga Chikadze, former kickboxer. Kickboxing crossover has been able to translate his style well into MMA. 15-4 as a pro. 3-2 in his last 5 fights, but has faced a lot of injuries these last 2 years. Got beat up by Arnold Allen. Had like the first round looked good, and then it was just like downhill from there. And you know what? Bounced back after Calvin Kattar. Again, good first couple rounds against Calvin Kattar fight. Went downhill from there. Good bounce back win against Alex Caceres. But I will say, Caceres still looks good as one of the veterans in the UFC. He still looks good. And I'm not going to sit here and argue that Caceres won the fight. He lost the fight. But it was way too close. If you're going to talk as much shit as Giga did, and if you're, basically going to stamp, your stance at the top of the division, right? No disrespect to Alex Caceres. Good everywhere. Getting up there in age. If you want to make a statement, you got to dominate Alex Caceres, not almost allow him to win rounds, right? His kicks are insane. I don't think they're as daunting as they once were because people see that he's, human and beatable. My thing is he's just been held up by glue and Band-Aids, and I think he has undergone a couple surgeries in the last 2 years. Not good. And he's getting up there in age, and 36 years of age, and he had a whole kickboxing career before MMA. Whereas David Onama, just entering his prime, 30 years of age, in front of his home crowd in Kansas. And despite him not being as much of a volume striker as Giga and not as good of a striker, in my opinion, he is accurate in his shots, and he may not throw volume, but he tries to land that kill shot. And so far, the silent assassin has been landing those shots. 13-2 as a pro, 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Again, the Romero fight, honestly, was probably not his best performance because Romero came on short notice and took him to a decision, but a win nonetheless. The Pierce win was really good. The Gabriel Santos win was awesome. Lost to Nate Landwehr. That was over 2 years ago. And Garrett Armfield, good win as well. Giga hasn't fought in 8 months. Before them was a year. Oh, man. I'm going to go Onama. Until Giga is back, fights, another, maybe squeezes one more fight in this year, doesn't have to go under the knife again. I'm going Onama. I think even if Onama's down 2 rounds, he'll find, or like down in the second, he'll find a way to drop Giga. The one thing that we always have to keep in mind, though, is the leg kicks. Giga could chew up the legs of David Onama here and kind of take away that ability for him to press down and find the ability to land those shots. But I am going to go David Onama here. Good underdog, absolutely. Probably by decision, I'd imagine. I don't think Giga is going to finish David Onama, but probably a good underdog by decisions. But yeah, the injuries and time off has always been a question. It will be a question mark and is a question mark for me going into this one. David Onama's cardio, I do think, has gotten a lot better. So I'm not really going to say that Giga's cardio is better. Again, he hasn't been fighting for a while. If they're both active and this was like a year or two ago, I would say Giga has the cardio advantage. So probably still, but I don't think that's going to be a factor in this one. All right, co-main event of the evening. Well, Anthony Smith against Mingyang Zhang, the Mountain Tiger. One of the guys from China, one of the guys from Road to UFC who has panned the fuck out. It's because he's not Japanese. God damn it. God damn it. Anyways, Anthony Smith, Lionheart. This is his last fight, so he might fight a little different in this one. Last one, obviously, there was some stuff that were affecting him outside the cage. A dear friend of his passed, and he said he wasn't. He just wasn't ready to get back in there. He just wasn't ready to get back in there. He was kind of lying to himself, saying that he was, convincing himself that he was. It sounds like he's kind of mostly at peace now, and he's just dialed for this one. And I will say, he looked like Anthony Smith on the scale, but a little bit more slim and trim Anthony Smith. Okay, it looked like he's been lifting a little bit more weights instead of just teaching jiu-jitsu classes. Mingyang Zhang is fucking dangerous, though, man. And Anthony Smith doesn't take damage well. He used to, and he's still tough. That's not me criticizing how tough he is, but he's not quick anymore, and it's not like he was ever super quick, right? But like his kickboxing and Muay Thai edge that he used to have on his opponents, it's not there anymore because the speed's not there. His jiu-jitsu, yeah, he can snatch a neck against a prospect, don't get me wrong, but his jiu-jitsu's not necessarily there anymore. I think Zhang is just the stronger fighter at this stage in his career, 26, 10 years younger, and I don't think Zhang's going to try to wrestle with him anyways. I think Zhang's going to try to knock him the fuck out. 18-6 as a pro, 5-0 in his last 5 fights, 12 KO, TKO, 6 submissions, 0 decisions. That's what we like to see. 6-1 in Wulin Fang, 2-0 in the UFC, 3-0 in Huya Fighting Championship. Great win against Ozzy Diaz, who's a knockout artist coming off the regional scene. Great win against Bredson Ribeiro, who's a knockout artist as well. Tukos, good win. All his guys in the UFC that he's fought have been primarily strikers and mostly guys like right off the regional scene, and Ribeiro like regional scene level because he's not that great. So like experience-wise, this is a big step up in competition, but speed-wise, wear and tear, unless Anthony Smith is just going full, you're attacking my family, just sees red the whole time, I don't think he wins this fight. If Mingyang Zhang gets into a grappling match with him, Smith could definitely snatch a submission because, I mean, he's got submissions, okay? But he's got submissions against, guys. He's from Wulin Fang, man. What do you want me to say? Hoo-yah! Fight. Kung Fu Carnival Season 2. Bro, we got to start watching this league. Holy shit. But anyways. Yeah, I got him TKO Anthony Smith, probably second round. I'll get you guys' comments here in a sec before we wrap up. But Ian Machado Garry against Carlos, smoke him if you got him. Prates, 21-6 for the Nightmare. 21-6. He has more MMA fights than Ian Garry. Just want to highlight that. He's a slight underdog coming into this one. I understand it. Not as well-rounded as Ian Garry, but more well-rounded than you think. He's fought in Ev and an Ov throughout his career as well, ladies and gentlemen. 16 KO TKOs, 3 submissions, 2 decisions, and he's Brazilian, so he came out of the womb in a gi and a couple stripes on his white belt. 4-0 in the UFC, 2-1 in one championship, where he may have fought some of those Ev and Ovs. 2-0 in LFA, and he won his fight on Contender Series. Good win against Neil Magny. Neil Magny couldn't even set up a takedown, couldn't even set up the grappling. Beat Li Jingliang, who has good grappling, couldn't set it up either, but obviously Li Jingliang wanted to get into a firefight with him, which, by the way, Two unks in the UFC, goddammit, got taken out by freaking Prates. Trevin Giles is tough. Good win. Mitch Ramirez, goddamn. And then on the regional scene, he didn't fight just scrubs, dude. Different Charles Oliveira, but still 8-3 guy. I'm not sure if he's primarily a grappler or not. He fought Chinwu Men Wulanfeng as well. Okay. Lost a decision to Abdulaev. Abdulaev is 8-0. He lost a decision to him and was pinned down for most of the fight, but was able to scramble out of positions at times as well. And that was in 2019. Highly recommend you guys go back and watch this one Warrior Series 6 fight. So he's tall enough, lanky enough, and scrambly enough to get out of positions from Ian Machado Garry, but Ian Machado Garry is more well-rounded. I think Prates is more dangerous, obviously. And Ian Garry likes to keep his striking on the outside, right? He's very much like Muay Thai, kind of like a karate Muay Thai style. Sometimes he'll go more of the box stance, but usually it's wide. Regardless, he likes to land those outside strikes. You don't want to play the outside striking game against Carlos Prates. So what is Ian Garry going to do? Much like against MVP, he's going to try to take Carlos's back. He's going to try to choke him the fuck out. Or back him out ground and pound. That's what he's going to try to do. And I think he's going to attack that for 5 rounds, dude. I think he's going to try to get him up against the cage, underhooks, make this a grueling fight, frustrate Prates, give him no room to strike. Because if Ian Garry gets into a striking fight with Prates, Prates will knock him out. He will. Ian Garry's not chinny, but he doesn't wear damage well. And he's been knocked down in his UFC career a couple times, I think, against guys he probably shouldn't have been knocked down against. So I'm picking Ian Garry to win. Obviously, we're smoking packs upon packs for Prates. We're 3 cigs in here today, and I don't feel good, but that's okay. I'm going to have another one here right after this. We'll keep the coffee and cigarettes going until I pass out on the one championship, or not one championship, fucking deep stream due to nicotine poisoning. But it's all for you, Prates. Good vibes, good vibes. Every time Prates has fought in the UFC, we've been fucking huffing down cigarettes, and it's superstitious, okay? I'm superstitious. Anyways, Ian Garry probably going to win this fight via control time and or submission, but I really hope Prates knocks him out. Before we get to your comments, safe parlay, Damon Blackshear, Evan Elder, and Mingyang Zhang. Degenerate parlay, have fun with the degenerate parlay. There's so many good underdogs that you could parlay in this one. I'm going Muniz, Gage Young, and Carlos Prates, ladies and gentlemen. All right, let's hit up the comments here. Yo, thank you so much for the $2 skate. Good to see you, buddy. Thank you so much. How's Seattle treating you? Oh my God, I'm behind on so many comments. All right, let's see. What did I miss? Hell yeah. What's up, Basemo? Smith hadn't been the same since that meth head broke into his house and almost beat his ass. Well, he did get a win since then. Giga has 1.5 round cardio. Playing Dead Rising and checking in on you. Love the grind you do. Got Ian winning. Think he'll finish Carlos Prates too. He did look, he looks good until he starts getting beaten up. I think he does slow down as well. You're totally right. I don't think it's a cardio issue. I think it's because he just goes so fucking ham in the first round and then takes I don't think it's a cardio issue. I think he intentionally takes his foot off the gas a little bit. And then if he starts to get beat up, it's like he just can't get back in the race, if that makes sense. Home ground advantage for Onama. Worried about the knees, maybe. He does have a good chin, though, eating 8 elbows from Cater. That is true. No, that is true. He is tough. That's why I think, probably going to go decision. The Giga kick is a real thing. Bing Bang Zhang going to whip Smith in the fetal position. He does. Smith seems like a nice guy. I've never been interested in his fights. Zhang going to KO him. Smith like the generic MMA fighter in a video game. Bald head, generic bad tattoos, and decent in all areas. Zhang, round 1 KO. Continue that crazy round 1 KO streak. Someone tells Smith that Zhang was the home intruder. You got to imagine that's what they're telling him in the corner. Fist of the North Star. I know this is Minnesota Wild, but still. Man, to me, it's just the experience. I know what should happen. Man, all things considered, close fight. I don't think close fight, but I think there's a path to victory. But he finished Petrino. You, MMA Guru, MMA hosts, and all their MMA YouTubers should go in on UFC for not having Jim Miller in the Hall of Fame yet. Done. Guru, MMA holes, any other YouTubers who wants to collaborate on a video to send a message to the UFC, let's do it. If you don't want to collaborate, because I don't even care if we post it on my channel or not. If you don't want to collaborate, you should do one as well. But let's get on it, because Jim fucking Miller should be in the Hall of Fame. Good, just lots of work in. Any time for just chilling? Any time for just playing? Hey, what's up, Lauka? Every time I think Lionheart is a mega vet, I'm humbled by remembering Jim Miller has more wins in the UFC than Anthony has fights. Unreal. Bro, would you like an interview with Andrew Garrett, who KO'd Lacerda yesterday? I motivated him prior to his fights, and he thanked me. Yes, dude. Tell him the City Life Project would love to talk to him for a podcast episode. Thank you. Crazy people act like Giga's on a 4-fight losing streak, but he only lost to Aliskerov. Yeah, but he's had 2 surgeries since, and he's only had 2 fights in 2 years, and he's 36. Not that I'm not the age guy, but still. Mount Tiger will eat Lion's heart. I mean, if it's plastic, yes. I can't afford a real chain. Yo, what's up, Andrew? Good to see you. Yeah, time for chilling. I watched Alien to Alien 3. Nice. Let's go, Andrew. Hits from the bone. And Giga took beatings in those fights. See, that's why I can't pick Giga in this one until he gets another win. You know what I mean? Or until he looks good even in a loss and gets back into the swing of things. Anyways, guys, I still want to see Giga versus Yair Kick City, or if Zabit comes back to the UFC. Not that I think he will, but somehow, some way, if Zabit comes back to the UFC, give him fucking Giga as his tune-up fight, and then Yair. KSW and Deep. We got another Deep card tonight, Taco, or later tonight, but KSW in a couple hours. But speaking of, I got to run, ladies and gentlemen. I got a little bit of work to finish up here, and I want to squeeze in a quick run, a quick cold plunge, and then we'll be back for KSW. So we'll see you in a few hours, guys. Thank you so much for joining. Let me know if you agree with my picks. Let me know your picks in the comments. Smash that like button and subscribe. And guys, the KSW stream is up right now. Let me share the link with you. The KSW stream is up right now. I'm probably going to start around 1:15 Eastern, I imagine, because there might be a little buffer time in the beginning. Sometimes they like to rag their puck with their prelims. Regardless, we will be covering the entire main card, even if I miss a prelim. It's going to be an amazing one. À tout à l'heure. Go check it out. It is a huge fight day. KSW, UFC. Then we're going balls deep. Be in deep Hamamatsu. But join us for KSW. Pujanowski fighting Eddie Hall, bro. Bartoszynski fighting... how do I pronounce his name? Grisbeck, who changed his profile picture on Tapology, which is sad, but he's still fucking awesome. I'm thinking we're praying for Pujanowski, ladies and gentlemen. We're praying for Pujanowski. Back in a couple hours. KSW next. The fight day has started. Thank you guys for joining. Smash that like button and subscribe. Let's fucking go, Andrew. And we'll see you for KSW in a little bit here. Always remember. And
just because you get more picks right doesn't mean you're better at predictions than me.
I don't give a fuck if the decision's rigged!
That one was an accident. I didn't mean to click that one.
Yeah.